I call it, in a sense, and here's why it's so important. I call it miracle grow of the brain. Okay, because basically what it does three specific functions, and I'll talk about a fourth. Number one is BDNF. The reason it's so important, how it increases memory and learning, is it creates new brain cells. Number two is it protects and rejuvenates existing brain cells. Three, it strengthens the connections between them and throughout regions of the brain. So it's vitally important. BDNF, just to tell you a little how it does that as well, is just skimming on the surface. It stimulates stem cells to grow new brain cells. It keeps, when it enters the cell, it also stops the time clock of brain cell death. So rejuvenating, preserving brain cells. So it's crucial that you have adequate levels of BDNF.
Welcome very much Jim Caras from Health Direct, the president and CEO of that company, one that I extremely respected. Today we're going to talk about a subject that I don't know if there's anyone over 40 years old that doesn't want a better memory, sharpness, cognition. I am on a journey myself to put together the pieces to the puzzle that are continuing to arise about how do we do this. And we're going to talk about something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is probably the key player in why we are losing some of our abilities, but also we are amazed at how a certain methods can increase this. So welcome to Nutrition World Podcast, Jim.
Hey, Ed, great to be with you. Thank you for having me on.
You've only been on one other time that I know about, and it was 2+ years ago, and it had to do with what we talked about. I posted as far as how I recovered from my double hip replacement surgery, and it was one of the key players in how I recovered so quickly. So I'm so excited about this second episode because it's a totally different conversation, and it has to do with, again, what can we do about retaining first, but then secondly, improving things like brain fog, depression, not being able to think about recalls, like reading something and then asking yourself, what did I just read? And you're like, I don't really know what I just read. Yeah. Those are frustrating moments, and I am on a pursuit very heavily on many levels to help maintain this as I age almost to 67 at this point. Tell me what you now know that you did not know 2 years ago about this subject.
Well, it all started with a phone call. So as you know, like we talked about last time on your podcast, we talked about collagen. Mm-hmm. I got a phone call from a mentor of mine. This was 4 years ago. So I'll go back to the 4 years before the 2. And he's not an ordinary mentor. He is the man, a research pharmacist who created, developed, and first patented hydrolyzed collagen. So I hold him in a really high regard. Anyone that's ever used any collagen product, heard of the word collagen as far as a supplement, it all came from him back in the 70s. So he called me and he said, Jim, have you heard of BDNF? And I sort of scratched my head, and I probably, like most people out there hearing it for the first time today, I said, what is BDNF? And he told me brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and I still didn't ring a bell. And he said, Jim, this may be the first time you've heard about it, but it won't be the last. And that's what I like to share with people, because it's that significant to a person's brain and whole body health. So I started the journey of researching it at that time. I found what we'll talk about today, how important BDNF is to the entire body, especially the brain, how it can improve memory, learning, attention, mental fatigue, all the things we just talked about that we'll get into today. And that started my journey 2 years ago. And then it allowed us to get into an area of how can we increase and improve someone's BDNF. And we'll talk about why that's important. And that led to the creation of a new nootropic product that also involves collagen, ironically. And we'll talk a little about that, how we found a specific type of collagen and a new technology for it that affects brain health. And so while we were working on this, our first love of collagen, BDNF, came into play, and they just merged together to, in my opinion, create one of the most ideal forms to improving the brain.
Exciting, very exciting.
Yeah.
You know, when I 25 years old, it may not create the excitement. It certainly does as we get to an age of needing these kind of products.
Mhm.
And it's a lot about, there's windows of opportunity in health that I've witnessed for 45 years. And I speak about windows of opportunity. It's never too late to do things, but the longer we wait and the more we just hope that something doesn't get bad or maybe
Mhm.
gets better, sometimes we're losing some traction with that. And here's a time and a chance based on something extremely safe and possibly very effective to help one maintain. I think a lot of us, if we can just maintain where we are at 40 and 50, we'd be pretty much okay. I want to do more than that. I want to maintain and actually improve. And I certainly feel that in today's times, we have that ability, and we are so blessed in so many ways to be at 2024 and have the
Mhm.
options that we didn't have at 2014.
Right.
And I've been in this industry 45 years, and the growth of nutritional knowledge, green pharmacy knowledge, integrative activities that can help maintain and build the optimal build of the body, and what we can create is graceful aging. And Dr. Attia talks about putting together what he calls a decathlon, a centenarian decathlon. That's a plan of action that helps us age strongly with resilience. It will not happen with hope alone. It has to have a plan. And I'm going to be on board with your plan, as I was with the one type of collagen that no one else makes. And this is not a sales job. We are here to empower and educate. So let's talk about this brain-derived neurotropic factor.
Okay. So I think a great place to start is what is it? That's what most people ask. And basically, in its simplest sense, it's a protein, also considered a neuroprotein. It is the protein in your brain and throughout your body, but in your brain, it's responsible for memory and learning, which is vitally important. Of course, it's the basis for that. Um, I call it, in a sense, and here's why it's so important. I call it miracle grow of the brain.
Mm.
Okay, because basically what it does three specific functions, and I'll talk about a fourth. Number one is BDNF. The reason it's so important, how it increases memory and learning, is it creates new brain cells. Number two is it protects and rejuvenates existing brain cells. Three, it strengthens the connections between them and throughout regions of the brain. So it's vitally important. BDNF, just to tell you a little how it does that as well, is just skimming on the surface. It stimulates stem cells to grow new brain cells. It keeps, when it enters the cell, it also stops the time clock of brain cell death. So rejuvenating, preserving brain cells. So it's crucial that you have adequate levels of BDNF. Throughout the body, now we talked about the brain. A lot of people don't know that BDNF occurs elsewhere in the body. So we talked about the brain. Your skin produces BDNF. Your lungs do. It occurs in your gut, your spleen, your prostate if you're a man, all throughout your body. And actually, there's a lot of whole body effects of BDNF. Your lungs, your colon, your bladder actually produce and contain more BDNF than your brain. So we'll
Really?
get a little more into that later. I think we should start with the brain first, but
Hmm.
it's vitally important for memory and learning, and I can't say enough about it's the foundation of that.
And we lessen at what age does it start declining?
About 30. So, and this
Mm.
is the interesting point. So, when we talked last time, I always tell people about why collagen is so important. And I'm going to give you a little comparison here. So, around the age 25 to 30, our collagen levels start declining. It's the same with BDNF. Around the age of 30, these levels start declining. But let's go back a step. When you're young, you're a BDNF producing machine. If we've ever wondered why, you know, kids, people that are younger, learn so much, retain so
Hmm.
much, part of that has to do with the massive amounts of BDNF that's taking place in their body. So they have abundance. About the age of 30, it starts declining. But different from the decline of collagen in the body, BDNF starts dropping rapidly the older that you get. Actually, around in your 60s, it could drop about 5% a year. And it's really detrimental to people's mental health and their whole
Hmm.
body health if that level declines too low.
At 5% per year at 60, that means by 70, whatever you had, you're 50% less.
Yeah,
That's
it,
scary.
it could end up in that range there.
Yes, and we think about kids who learn multiple languages or do very high intellectual skills that seem to come very easy, and here we are, at 40, 50, and 60. Most of us would not ever challenge ourselves with a new language at that age. So this could be one of the major players in that. And I know I do a couple of things that help build what we call neuroplasticity, which is similar. What does that mean, that word, is regard to this?
So I'm glad you brought that up. That's another function of BDNF. Neuroplasticity, and I like to explain, it sounds complicated to people. I tell people it's a good word to know because as you get older, you're going to learn it. As you meet with your doctor, you're going to hear it. So just to take a quick moment on it, I break it down very simply. It comes from two Greek words, and being that I'm Greek, I like to give my Greek lesson of the day. And so the word neuro it comes from the Greek word, means nerve. It also means brain cell. So neuron, neuro, brain cell, nerve cell. Plasticity comes from the Greek word plastos, which means formed. So when we take the two, a brain cell that's formed, or neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to adapt its structure, to reorganize itself, to create new neural pathways. So what's exciting about that is the previous belief in science years back was, and this is a little scary, by the way, is that you were born with the brain cells you have the rest of your life. To me, that's a scary concept. And thank goodness for neuroplasticity and further science where they said, no, you can grow new brain cells. You can restructure your brain. You can, in essence, build a new and better brain. That's what's exciting about neuroplasticity.
Very, very exciting. That's one reason I didn't drink alcohol when I was young. I was afraid all those brain cells I would kill, I wouldn't have any. Now I drink it because I know I can rebuild it. So I'm into the tequila. But, I do two things that most people will not and probably can't do. I do IV ketamine, which helps to produce neuroplasticity, quite expensive, and I do a drug called rapamycin. Those are two science, more medical-oriented, costly types of options, and they come with risk benefit. This that I'm reading about with what we're talking is something you'll drink every single day. It can work very quickly, and over a period of even a short period of weeks, you can see tremendous benefit in most cases from the testimonies that I have seen. I actually had some before I came here to talk to you, and I am very pleased with how pretty darn quickly you can actually feel some results with this, with more of a focused mind and clarity that just tends to flow. I have periods of time where I'm clicking like a pretty good computer. Then I have times where I'm just slogging through the fog, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't put all these concepts together and have the right words. So tell listeners again a little bit more about when they consume this product and what is the product and some of the details about it.
Okay, love to. The product is called AminoMind. This is what I call
AminoMind. Yes.
Amino and mind, AminoMind. And it's the brainchild of my mentor and I of combining ingredients. As we went on the quest, we found specific ingredients that actually increase BDNF, clinically proven to increase it. One of these ingredients is a unique form of coffee berry, so completely all natural, not like the coffee berry you'd find out there in most places. This is a unique, patented, standardized form. It's standardized with the polyphenols. It's the only one available that can cross the blood-brain barrier, which is really critical.
Really?
You need to do that to be able to increase BDNF. So the bottom line is that when you take the product, and this is one of the ingredients in there, the clinical studies show that BDNF levels are increased 143% within the first 60 minutes of taking it. So that's why people are noticing almost in some cases an instant effect. So when we have something that's declining with age and you can boost it or increase it that quickly, it's exciting. And the nutrients in the product, they actually, when I say cross the blood-brain barrier, BDNF has a very short half-life in the body. When you produce it, it doesn't last long. The nutrients, and you wouldn't add BDNF to your body, the nutrients are actually getting into your brain cells in your brain, and it's helping, giving it the resources to produce BDNF yourself on a continual and constant basis. So that's the exciting part. That's the game changer of the product.
You know, my philosophy over 45 years is to try my best to mimic Mother Nature. And you said it perfectly when you said we can't really take BDNF, and we don't want to, because what I value so great is what I kind of refer to as ancient wisdom. Give the body what it needs to produce its own optimal levels, because we will never have the wisdom that the body has. So our textbooks, it says take this amount of something to produce more of level. No, I want the body to be the orchestra director of that, and I love giving it raw materials so that it can decide in its own wisdom manner, oh, you need this much, or we can make this much, which is optimal, or when it drops down, we can make more, but we're not going to make too much. We're not going to create an imbalance through a rippling effect. This is why drugs have side effects. It's because they don't alter one function. They alter a downstream multiple functions of multiple types of systems in the body. And with nature, that doesn't happen in a negative sense. It only happens either neutral or positive. So as far as like the two things I talked about, they're not perfect because they are drug-like, and I almost used no drugs at all in my life, but those two, I feel risk is minimal and benefits great. But we've never had a product like this one that I can just take over the counter that will create the kind of hope that we were talking about here. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people, most people I think agree, what if you had to choose your body going down or your mind going down? Most people actually wants the mind to be there, even if the body is starting to decay. And I feel that way too. I don't want to lose a sense of who I am and my ability to be functional on a cognitive level. And I did take some of the product, and there was no doubt I could feel that product in about 60 minutes. Now, ongoing, it probably serves even more purposes as people keep taking it.
Yeah, the longer you take it, so the beauty of the product is A, we're increasing BDNF. B is we have a synergistic effect where we're increasing brain structure or volume. There's a specific type of, and let me tie it back and forth for you here. There's a specific type of collagen we use. So this is the world's first nootropic collagen that builds BDNF. We're able to take these couple ingredients combined with a few others. The collagen is unique because it's unlike any other collagen out there. It's specific. We're able to take the collagen molecule and amp up or concentrate specific dipeptides in it, proline, hydroxyproline, and glycine, which are found in higher levels in collagen. So we're able to increase those to the level of 1 little tablespoon that you take would be equivalent of the amount you would get in 64 tablespoons of regular collagen. That's how dramatic those dipeptides are. Those dipeptides have a specific function in the body. They actually stay longer in the bloodstream than normal collagens. They would in normal collagen. So they affect your brain health. It's the only collagen that helps memory, learning, and brain health. So back to what you talked about, what people will notice as they take the product longer, one of the studies on the product that backs the collagen and the other ingredients in there showed that within 28 days of taking the product, the ingredients, that memory and learning, which was tested, improved 40%. The other the interesting thing is brain structure the brain structure started to develop and was trending upwards. That's important because as we age, our brains shrink, and you don't want your brains and organs to shrink. You want to maintain the volume. But the astounding part about the study was in 4 weeks, it showed a reversal in brain aging by 3.65 years. So almost 4 years. So in 4 weeks of taking it, there was a reversal of brain aging by 4 years in just the first 28 days. What that means for people is people are noticing after they take it, like you just said, they're more clear. The first thing people notice is more mental energy. They're more clear in the morning. That happened to me with the product. I've always been a slow waker in the morning. It takes me a while to get going. I joke with my wife. I tell her that I catfished her. She didn't know I was a sloth in the morning. I'm just, sort of dragging along. When I take the product now, I'm clear. I'm mentally alert. I mentally function better in the morning. This is happening to a lot of people. They notice that within a few days, people tell us that like a fog is lifted. They have clearer thoughts, sharper thoughts. They make better. I had a couple people tell me, a good friend of mine who's recovering from cancer treatments, who all the drugs in the system has caused him to be a foggy mind and everything. He's like, I was in a place where I couldn't make decisions well. I can make decisions now and I'm clear. So people notice these things, and the longer you take it, the better the results, the sharper the memories are, the better the recall, the more mental energy you'll have.
And the opposite of that is pharmaceuticals. Normally, the longer you take it, the less they work and the more side effects you have. So when we give the body the nutrients, the basis, the platform of what actually was intended for it from day one, it can be magical. And traditional thinking on health just doesn't embrace this. And a lot of people may say, I want to wait till there's 800 studies on this product. Well, you know what? If you're already 40 or 50, you're going to lose a whole decade or more waiting for that. And I just don't feel like it's worth the risk. Is this a product you take once a day as we start winding down here on the conversation? Is it once or twice a day?
Very simple. Take it once, take it in the morning when you wake up, and boom, you're done for the day. That's it.
Cool.
Very simple.
Now, do you feel
one
like
little tablespoon.
Do you feel like that it has possibilities to maybe prevent the oncoming of Alzheimer's and dementia?
I would say with memory in general, that based on the research, I pulled, let me read something really quick, Red. I pulled one thing that says that this is from the Journal of the American Medical Association. I wanted to have it handy because it just nails it right on the head of how important BDNF is. It says, this was a report on BDNF, Alzheimer's memory. The quote is, higher levels of BDNF may protect against the future occurrence of dementia and Alzheimer's. Our findings suggest a role for BDNF in the body and possibly the prevention of Alzheimer's and dementia. So like I said, don't take it from me, take it from the science and the research that's out there. So that's the emerging science that's coming out on BDNF, that it's possible. It gives us the cognitive reserve to offset the negative things that happen. And I don't want to go too far into it, but everyone's heard of amyloid plaque as people get Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, it turns out that everyone eventually gets it, but certain people it affects and certain people it doesn't. It's turning out that people with higher levels of BDNF have that cognitive reserve to protect them from it. So I think that's a little longer answer, but that's why it's so important to cover.
That's so cool. And I did not know you had that study, so it wasn't set up for me to ask that question. And I'm so intrigued by that. And I know I've been studying a lot about glycine, and I know your product contains a lot of that. Dr. McCullough, who I vastly respect as far as his ability to really conversate about true health, talks about glycine actually helps us to have antiviral properties to keep us very well, because it keeps the cell membrane so much more healthy that the virus actually has a harder time reproducing within the cell. And glycine certainly makes me sleep better. So those are things. Now, and last question, I know I take your other product because it was so revolutionary for my healing of my double hip replacement. Does this product replace the other collagen, or is it an add-on?
It's an add-on. They're two.
Okay.
I would look at them as two separate products. This is a collagen that has a specific function in the body to increase brain activity, memory, learning, and improve brain health. Regular collagen is going to give you more of the cosmetic and structural benefits throughout your body: hair, skin, nails, joints, tissue healing from surgery, repair of skin, lean body mass. So you're going to use them too. And by the way, when you use them both together, I recommend taking AminoMind first thing in the morning. And I've always recommended the best time to take collagen is at bedtime, because it works with we've talked about that before, it works with your body to create it. When you're doing the more AM, PM routine, you're getting the maximum anti-aging benefit that can exist. Your mind and your whole body. It's gonna beautiful. People will see. I call it the magic show of youth happening with their body.
Love it, love it. And this is not a pie in the sky. And for people to learn more about your product, what would be a website? How could they contact you?
They could go to our website, healthdirectusa.com. We have very detailed information on it. We have I think one of the best ways is I wrote a sort of an article report on it that you have in your store. And we have those for people for free if they come on in. And that has very detailed information all about BDNF, all the different applications of memory, brain fog, how it works to help people with mental fatigue, how it improves learning, reaction time. All that is in that article, and that would be a great way for people to learn about it.
I love it. Love your passion. Love the fact that you are so focused. You're not one of these companies that every month you're coming out with some kind of product just to produce more sales. You really truly believe in what you've done, and I know that product, your older one, has changed the lives of many, many people, especially in a market of collagen where it's everywhere. I mean, you can't go anywhere to shop where there's not a collagen product. And, 7, 8 years ago, there was very few. And you've been around longer than anyone. I mean, your original collagen has been tested in many hospitals or utilized in hospital settings, I know.
Right.
And I remember you telling me about people who were suffering with, cancer and chemo and losing weight, that this helped maintain the muscle loss that if they would do the regular collagen, which that happens to people who are sick, and that sometimes can be their demise. And if we can help maintain their muscle and their structure with your regular collagen, not the new one, right, it can be life-saving. So I am on board. I will be doing your product in the morning from now on. It sits on my desk, and I don't mind the taste at all. There'll be a few people who might be a little bit, because it's strong. You can tell it has some strong ingredients. I like that because I feel like it's a powerhouse, and and I trust you, and I trust the studies that you have already presented on that. We have more to learn, but anecdotally, there's no doubt this is going to be a very, very popular product, Jim. And thank you so very much for taking your time out to join us here at Nutrition World Podcast.
And thanks for having me on. I always enjoy it.